I needed to debrief and talk a little bit, and I have no script, and I'm going to talk a lot, so that it's going to take a bit of time, and it's going to be messy. I have a lot to sort of process, but we're going to do it together. Okay. Where do I begin? Usually when I have a lot to talk about, I give myself dot points. I'm not doing that, and that's probably a bad idea, but I'm just going to talk. And I'm going to talk about a bunch of stuff, and it has to do with the character design session that I put out recently, and I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings. But I want to start at the beginning, which I think is where I was, and then I want to end up talking about where we're going. Where was I? I was where, and to a degree, cannot escape being, at least in part, where a lot of art YouTubers are and have become trapped in heading towards, which is chasing views. It is the way the algorithm functions, and it is inevitable if you're going to be a professional at something that you have to tick certain boxes, and YouTube has made those boxes more and more about views. And it may not even be explicitly said, but it is a function that taps into the psyche of the creator and makes you think that you need to do things a certain way. And to a degree you do, and we'll talk about that later. But the point I'm trying to say is, a few of the ways this has manifested in the last couple of years, in particular, the last 6 months or so, in where it has affected my personal approach, is in things like the YouTube Creator Studio, where you're served your analytics. It's how we keep our finger on the pulse of a channel's performance. And this great feature, and it is a great feature as far as self-analysis goes, but it's terribly destructive when it comes to feeling crap about your endeavors. And that is, you get your video performance that you're looking at ranked in the context of the 10 videos prior to it. So you can look at a video and you can see that this is number 2 of 10, meaning it's the second best performing video for the duration that's been out. So let's say you look at it after 3 days, that means out of the last 10 videos, this is the second best video that's performed up to this number in that amount of time, right? So it sounds confusing, but it's not. It's really simple. It's a really easy way to just go to a video and say, oh, this is number 1. This is my best video performing in the space of 3 weeks, right? Which is a great tool. But on a human level, it's horrible. It's horrible because you feel awful all the time. You feel so crappy unless you don't. And when you don't, it's because something's performing well. Whereupon you feel good for a very brief period of time. And then that's the baseline. Right? So it's like, okay, this is my number 1 video, and I do another video, and that's my number 1 video, and I do another one, that's my number 1 video. So then what happens is YouTube gives you the analytics for all future videos with shifting that base perspective, that baseline, saying no longer are you outperforming your average, this is your average. Which is helpful to see everything in the context of your averages. If you're a machine, it's a helpful piece of information. But if you're a creative individual and you try something, which you have to do as a creative individual, you have to try new things, and it doesn't reach where you need to feel gratified, to feel like you're doing a good job, then you feel like you're doing a bad job. Even if the thing you made is worthwhile, even if the people who watched it loved it, if less people watched it, and all of a sudden this mechanism says, oh, this is 7 out of 10, this is 8 out of 10. God forbid, this is your 10th best performing video out of 10. You feel horrible, so bad. Oh, I have a lot of have pent up in me right now that I need to sort of express. And this is part of where a lot of this energy has come from, because in the last 12 hours, I've felt this immense pressure that has built up, just sort of not disappear, but release. And I've experienced an outlet that I've really missed. And I really am excited to talk to you about that. Anyway, let me get back on track. So that's what YouTube does. It says views have to blur, and you're good if they're blur, but if they're not, you suck. And you mostly, as a creator, feel like you suck, because how it usually works is you work really hard on lots of content, on everything. That's how it works. You work hard on the things you make and share, and some of it does well. Most of it does okay. But okay isn't good enough for the algorithm and for your sense of self-gratification, because we are wired to excel, to exceed our expectations. And to a degree, we can continue an upwards trajectory. But when you've been doing this as long as I have, it doesn't happen that way. You have ebbs and flows. And that's how I've maintained my sanity over the last 8 years, is I say to myself, okay, the last time I had, each video coming out hit 1 million views in a week, which, by the way, is ridiculous that became my normal. Can I just, sorry, interject there. But anyway, was like 6 months ago, and that was my last burst. And at the moment, my good videos or high averages are sort of like 500,000 to 800,000 views, which isn't as good as then, but we'll get back there. And then it starts dropping, and then you think, okay, well, I'm in an ebb. It's okay, because the flows come sort of surprisingly, and then all of a sudden you're on fire, and then you strike while the iron's hot, and that's just sort of how it's worked. So that's, why am I shaking? I think I turned the heater off. I should have turned the heater off. It's actually a bit cold. I just didn't want the noise to bother you. Let's get back on track. So I've been in this place that you've seen me try and work through, where on the one hand, views matter. Views matter from a self-worth perspective, which they shouldn't, but when it's your career and they are the way to quantify how you're doing in your career, and if you feel like you're not doing well in your career, you feel bad about yourself, right? It's one of the major factors. Another major factor is, as an artist, I need to produce things that I am proud of, that I love, that you love. But to tick both of those boxes is quite difficult. And the third is my limited capacity. And one of the last times I had one of these blunt sort of splatting all my thoughts and feelings at you in a vlog, was talking about my limited capacity. And that is a wall I'm constantly sort of gauging where I'm hitting it, when I hit it, how to stop, how to refresh, and where to go from there. My watch thinks I'm working out. For 10 minutes. I've been working out for 10 minutes. Holy shit. I haven't even been recording this video for 10 minutes. So that tells you where I'm at right now. So I've been in fairly regularly in a place where I've been trying to balance these three things, and it's really hard to balance those three things. I say that within the context of the job. Every job has elements that are hard, and this is the one for me that really stretches me. It's finding gratification and success in a way that allows me to explore my creativity and do so authentically, and while pushing my craft, while stretching myself artistically and expressing myself emotionally and creatively, and all these things, ticking the YouTube and algorithmic boxes, which is difficult, because ticking those boxes would be a heck of a lot easier if I didn't care so much about integrity, right? So that's the precarious balance I've been trying to figure out. And I've tried a number of things, and you've seen me try a number of things, and obviously they didn't work in different ways, and that's why I put out that video on the main channel saying I don't like what I've become, because in trying to balance all of those things, I pushed you guys out, and I shut the doors, and I thought, I've solved this before, I'm going to solve it again, and I didn't, and I felt worse and worse and worse every time it didn't work. And so I didn't have a clear plan when I made that I don't like what I've become video. All I knew is I needed to recenter myself, and that's what my focus was. And in doing that, that meant that, okay, a few videos after that were more tame than even is natural for me. I pendulumed in the other direction, and I thought, okay, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to, so I presented my videos like, I was telling myself not to overdo it. But then as a result, I wasn't doing me either. But that's okay. I needed to do that to come back to a baseline, and then it gave me permission to sort of say, okay, now I can get excited about the things I'm genuinely excited about, but I don't need to overdo it. I don't need to fake like, we're going to do crazy stuff today, which I have felt a pressure to be, because you're chasing those results. So, in recentering myself, I also took some time off. You may have noticed vlogs haven't been very regular. Since I have not had assistance here, I also thought, you know what, like, let's just take a break. I didn't think that by myself. My wife highly recommended it, and I thought, you know what, yep, you're right. So we took from last Wednesday through to this Monday. So some good time off. We can't go anywhere or do anything because there's a pandemic happening, but we had to properly disengage, which was part of a nice recalibration that I needed. So in coming back, getting back to content as usual, and there was some suggestions in that trying to figure out what I'm doing video that kept popping back into my head. There were a lot of people saying do character design sessions again, and my stance has always been I don't want to do it unless I care about it and if I can figure out a way for it to get views. I have to care, it has to perform. They are the tick boxes that need to be ticked for that to be a thing on the channel. So I let that lie, and I have sort of stewed over these things. And then there were some of those suggestions that that I do my big videos but break them up into small videos, which as a concept sounds like a huge relief to hear, because I thought, you know what I mean, like my concepts have gotten bigger, my production has gotten bigger, but they've always been one video, and that doesn't have to be like that. So that opened me up to, okay, you know what, I can be ambitious, I can do more, but I can spread it out, I can conserve my energy by doing that. And then I thought, what if I did, like, because often what I want to do is character based anyway, right? If I want to sculpt or do something in VR, if I want to paint something or try a new medium, often it'll be character-based because that's what I'm interested in. And then I realized that every time I do that, most of the time I'm improvising and figuring out on the fly what character I'm doing or making one up. But what if it was a character that I'd already made up? And that made me click into this place where I understood that I could, in theory, and this was when the theory was developing, that I could do a character design session and come up with a character, and later I could do a sculpture of that character. I already have the character, and it adds value to the initial character design session, which people wanted. It gives me a burst of energy and motivation to think I'm not just doing the same thing I did in the past, I'm creating a reference point that I can explore further and push myself further in different areas with. But those things can be view-centric. The initial character design thing can be my gift to you and the gift to me to do the things that we've always loved together. They may not get the views that the big clickable videos get, but I could do them in a way that I could then come back to that concept in a big clickable video, and it builds on substance. It gives me a break, and it could even, in theory, reinforce the initial character design session concept and allow those to become something that actually can get views, can compete in a YouTube click-centric, ostentatiously driven content marketplace, right? So when those things click together, I thought, okay, there might be something in that, because all of a sudden I wanted to do a character design session, because it was more than just that thing that I'd done before a million times. I could do it differently, and I could do different things. And you guys have been asking for it, but I didn't know how much you wanted it. And I didn't know what YouTube would do or how it would make me feel if I did another one. But I thought, you know what, let's try this. And so I released this guy, right? If you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure the diehards who followed this vlog channel have probably watched this by now. But this is not the best drawing I've ever done. I've done other, what I believe are better character designs and, you know, better artworks. It's good though, I like it, I'm happy with the results, but it feels different. I did a character design session and created Amuntep, King Amuntep V, based purely on your prompts, which I'm really happy that I did that, because restarting this series in the spirit of the original character design sessions, basically by taking those original winning prompts, and then I can be like, okay, yeah, they are still your prompts, so I'll do this one from that. That's how I'll get this one put together, and then I'll start the next one. So you say, you know, go to Reddit and make the next one happen, and we'll see how this goes. But I had learnt from doing a bunch of those other videos in the interim that the story and context make a huge difference to how you perceive the final artwork to be. So I put as much focus on that as I did the sketching and the illustration. And now when I see this, I don't just see, okay, I've drawn better drawings. I see a character with a story that I worked hard on, who feels like he's got history, he's been places and he's going places because I explicitly have invited you guys to participate and turn this UCD1. This is UCD1, and this is just the foundation picture. But it was essentially a call to action to sort of say, if you want this sort of content, do these things and make stuff. Which brings me to today. So for context, I released that video 12 hours ago. Well, not even 12 hours. I'm still working out. Thinks I'm running. How long have I been? 20 minutes. I released the video and it launches and it's 8 out of 10. Right? So if it were any other video, and this is what caught me off guard, if it were any other video and it was 8 out of 10, I'd panic. And in fact, it happened a couple of videos ago. I think, oh, this should be doing better. You know, I sometimes flail. I go back and I redo a thumbnail, or I retweak the title, or I try and figure out after I've launched it what it is that's making people not click on it. But I launched this character design session and it's 8 out of 10. And I expected that. That's okay. I didn't expect waves of views because it's not clickbait. It's not sexy unless you're into that sort of thing. But I thought, you know what? There's legs on this. I don't need this video to get the views. I need this video to be wonderful for the people who watch it, so that when I make the views videos later that use Amenhotep V as a piece, there's something really substantial for them to come back to and cling to and for the community to build on. Now, it's nice to also see, by the way, that trickling over time, it's sort of had a stronger momentum. So it's now 6 out of 10. And if you ignore the fact that my current 1 out of 10 in that list is the big melodramatic, I don't like what I've become, I knew that was going to get clicks. I didn't make it for that, but you know, drama videos do that. So if you take that out of the mix and just put it in an average video, it'd be sitting right around the middle, which for a character design session in the mix of videos built to get clicks is actually incredible, is actually amazing. And what's more amazing is that by letting go of having my finger on the views pulse, by being resigned to that early on when I released this video, the pulse I was keeping an eye on were those 3 things that I mentioned in the video. If you want this to work, 1, 2, 3. They were, my heart is still racing and I'm still working out. Good. They were, watch the video and keep an eye out for UCD1. The second was, of course, to speak up. Do those things, like, comment, subscribe, that everyone says, and it just goes right over your head because everyone says them and they count for everything, but everyone knows they count for everything. So because everyone asks you to do it, it usually becomes like just white noise. But by putting it in that context with these 3 things and explaining how much that matters, and if this series matters to you, please do those things. And then the third thing, to participate, to join in. That was the pulse, right? So I'd let go of views. I'm thinking, okay, I'll do views later. But what's happening with those 3 things? And it's blown my mind. Like, I need to not get emotional. But I'm emotional because I expected people to care, but I didn't expect that many people to care that much. And I didn't expect myself to care that much. It made me realize I want to do this. And I thought I didn't want to do that, but character design sessions. But I realized I didn't want to do the same thing, which was kind of that in a vacuum. Initially, it was the Twitch interaction. I can't do that anymore. I can't stream. My life does not allow me to do that. So therefore I can't get your prompts that way. So you lose that organic beginning, and then the pressure I have on myself to make something that is clickable and then also feels more substantial than every other character design session I've ever done. And I've done a lot, and some of them I'm really proud of and feel intimidated by trying to outdo. It's just pressure. I don't want the pressure. But this took the pressure off, and I missed it. I really missed it. And it's not the best, most amazing result in the world, but I really missed making a character and a story for the sake of that character and story and getting lost in that. But it didn't matter if it worked or not. It didn't matter if it was the best thing or not, because I put that pressure on you, which is great. If you want this to become a thing, if you want to build on this, build on it. I will build on it. It takes the pressure off of me to turn this into the best thing in the world, because I might do a sculpture, I might do something else that is the best thing in the world that I can challenge myself to do in that moment. By just taking all of that away and just saying to myself and the universe, this will be dispersed by me, to me elsewhere in time and to other people in the community. It allowed me to really just get lost in the process and love the result even before I shared it with you, which I was surprised by. But then the amount of love and support and genuine, like, oh my God. Like the last video to get as many comments in this period of time, the last videos were essentially what I'm gonna call bribery videos, right? Where I say, leave a comment, you might win some AirPods, right? And this is easily competing with all of that. So I'm interjecting myself here to just clarify that it's easily competing with the number of comments, but the quality of the comments is a world away. So the comments that were in those bribery videos essentially were, AirPods please. But the comments in this character design session that we're talking about have all been so heartfelt and so passionate and enthusiastic and genuine and real and like encouraging and wonderful. Just want to add that, which is amazing, because you're not getting anything except for what I'm doing that I care about. And why I lost sight of that, I don't know. I do know YouTube is a mechanism that encourages creators to lose sight of certain things in order to keep the priority of their vision on those things that matter to their bottom line. And to our bottom line, that's why we focus on it too. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, when it comes around to the end of what I said I was going to talk about, future direction, I don't think a whole lot's going to change in terms of the content I output, because I have genuinely been putting in a huge amount of effort and been thinking of creative concepts and trying new mediums. But what this does is, aside from obviously energize me, I'm still working out. Like gives me motivation and hope and drive and passion, which I've been running low on and know that I have, but it's finding where is that reservoir and not knowing where to find that, because I've always had an infinite reservoir and I feel like, holy shit, it's here. Like it's been here the whole time. Like, I guess I'm just grateful. And that's unfortunately one of the things that the mechanism gets you to lose sight of. Because in focusing on the views and the sense of self-worth, when you focus on your career and you want to drive things forward, and that is something I genuinely care about in terms of building things and creating bigger and better things. I am hugely driven by growth and ambition and all this stuff in an authentic way. That is part of me. I've been like that since I was 11 years old. But another part of me is the one that really cares about caring about what I make, and really is grateful that I get to do that. And when you're so focused on that thing YouTube wants you to focus on, you lose some of that gratitude and you lose some of that creative energy and drive, because your motivation is narrowed. This isn't a problem or a mechanism solely I identify with. But this revelation to me through experiencing this and realizing I can do that. I can pursue growth and ambition and include you guys and be community centric and take the pressure off of myself from being the best thing in the world. I can build and grow and all of that stuff, but still care and still be grateful. I've known that the whole time, but I really felt it last night when I was reading your comments, when I was seeing the likes, and when I was seeing the immense, like when I lead to a Reddit post and say, guys, put in comments and upvote each other and please don't let this turn into chaos, but hopefully we get an art prompt out of this. And to see like a hive mind of love and creativity and passion, you all just flood in there. Thousands of new subscribers to the Reddit community just on board in the last 12 hours, you know, and fan art. There's Amuntep the Fit fan art already. Like, I didn't have to bribe you guys. You just want to do this with me and to see that and experience it. And it's really fueled me. And thank you so much. Ha! I have a lot of things I try and focus on, and I have really high expectations on myself. And it means that my baseline is higher than it should be, which has meant that for too long I've been unhappy with myself, with my ability to produce results, but there are so many more things, there are so many more results to be looking at, and this is such an important one that I've seen and kept sight of, but not in the way that I realized was important. I had in the past, I lost sight of that a little bit, I'm going to be honest, and I think that is a natural thing. I think a lot of people have done that or do it to a degree, and I understand it, and I will still focus on some of that stuff, but I am so grateful to be reminded that so many people in my community at this stage, 250,000 in 12 hours who have watched that video. There's no ounce of clickbait or even a hint of what the video is, except that it's that thing that I used to do. And that many people already care so much that I'm doing that again, and now care so immensely that we're doing it together, is mind-blowing. And if anything is going to reshape the platform to be what we want it to be, this is it. Not this, not UCD, maybe. Let's see what we could do. But it's community. This is YouTube. This is YouTube. Me like splatting my guts and heart at you guys and knowing it's not going into a vacuum, that you are, like, we're half an hour in and you're watching and you care and you've commented or whatever. Like, it's interconnected, it's raw and vulnerable, but powerful, and it's creative, and there is so much power that I have that I don't see, that we have together to empower positivity, creativity, inspiration, drive, passion, all these things that just bring so much hope and joy and fun to our existence and our experience together. And I am just so grateful to be reminded of that, to see that, and I am really excited to tap into that. Asterisk, obviously not every video is going to be a continuation. I'm still running a YouTube channel and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But even in doing everything else, my tank is full and I know how to refill it. And that alone gets my heart racing. And I am so grateful. Thank you. See you later. There you go. Other workout. It was a 40-minute workout and I burnt 200 calories. So there you go. Being passionate about art is both fulfilling and healthy.